It might ask you to just say got it or
Yeah.
lovely.
I'm at.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you for coming on board. So for the purposes of introductions, I'd just like to introduce Sue and Sam, the Border Collie. So Sue is the lovely lady that books speakers for the WI that I went to speak at last week. And basically, I was asked to do my talk. Everything a dog does is to feel safe. And I was just sharing on the live actually that before I came out that morning, I'd actually put it up to Spirit and said, oh, it'd be really lovely if there was a live dog there, because it's so much easier to demonstrate rather than just talk about it. Because, you know, talking's wonderful, but people can't see it. They can't, you know, see the experience of it. So trying to get him into focus. It's
Yeah,
just
trying to get him in so you can see him too.
yeah, bless him. He's like, no publicity.
No publicity this morning. No, doesn't want to know.
Like, talk to the poor, you
Yeah.
know. Oh, bless him. Sam, if you want to come online, bubbies.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah, show everyone.
What's this?
Hey, hello, baby. Hello, Sam.
That's it. Good morning too. Okay, indoor voice now. Thank you. Indoor voice. Good boy. Soppy thing.
Yeah, it's probably because we're excited, isn't it? So
it
you can
is,
feel that. And again, he's just expressing it. So and that was the thing. It was just so lovely to I was just sort of saying on the live, it was just so lovely because I turned up and I'd walked towards the church doors and I saw Sam, and somebody had called him, you know, said, come on. And I was like, oh, okay, there must be houses backing onto the church, you know, okay, fair enough. And of course, then when I got in, it was like, no, he's here, brilliant. So yeah, it was just like he was manifested.
Well, we just thought we couldn't not bring him, really. You know, he's pretty much an honorary WI member. He comes to lots of different meetings and things with me, and he just lays on his bed in the corner of the room, and most of the time you don't know he's there. And when I sort of, you know, thought about it the night before, I thought, why shouldn't he come along? He's usually very good and the ladies don't mind him, and I just thought it might be useful, and as it turned out, it really was. So.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, and I love that, because in a way it's like those synchronicities of, you know, this meeting, and I wouldn't be lovely if there was a doggy there that I could work with. And then it's like your thoughts before kind of going, I think we should take him, I think it'd be lovely. So yeah, it was a really beautiful surprise. And as I said to you, I've been brought up with collie dogs, so again that was very special for me as well, because, you know, I kind of miss having them in my life. So again, it was really lovely. And, you know, he did show, you know, he showed that, you know, when the room was sort of bustling at the beginning and everybody was sort of catching up with each other and checking in with each other, you know, he was wandering around, taking time outside, and, you know, he was quite active too. And then when everybody kind of came and settled down, you know, he also did the same. So he was definitely showing like this connection to the, you know, to the people in the room, really, just as a group. Actually, when everyone else settled, like he settled. So it was really interesting. And as obviously part of that talk, you know, we sort of worked with obviously what he was showing, didn't we? So when when the door banged with the wind, you know, bless him, he went and actually sat with someone, and again that was all about, well, again, everything they're doing is to feel safe. So he's gone and found somebody that he knows he feels safe with, you know, and who could kind of help him calm. And in a way, often, you know, by touch, you know, we're grounding their energy as much as they will ground ours. And what I mean by that is taking that from us. Likewise, you know, actually by them kind of having that connection and touch with us, it's like that can actually help calm them as well. So he definitely showed that. And obviously,
I'd be here right now, actually, but I just can't seem to get him to sit in the shot. No, I don't know if you can just see that. I'm sitting on the floor, and he's laying here right beside me.
He is,
enjoying us.
Yeah, he is, bless you. And that's the thing. So he's in on it. It's just Zoom being Zoom and their backgrounds and things. Yeah, absolutely. So he's definitely wanting to be part of this. The same as, you know, my own cat has actually been wandering, and now I was going to get ready for this. she's actually sat down and curled up next to me. So again, she sort of shows my energy of like, right, I'm settling, so now she's settling. So
Yeah.
they absolutely have that group bond with you. And he is such a good advocate for that. He's such a good example of that, because I was just saying, I think when you hopped on board with the live, that at the end, when we were talking afterwards, it was really clear that when you were talking to him, he could understand you.
Yeah.
Because you'd say something to him and he would bark back at you as if like, yes,
Yeah.
so, and I know from doing animal communication that they can understand far more than a lot of people will give them credit for. So he has that really sort of strong group bond.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as part of one of the things I'm trained in, the canine flow, one of the things that we do use is the AromaFlow. So for people that don't know, this is basically us being trained professionally to use 9 essential oils just with dogs. And it is one of those things of, please don't try this at home unless you've spoken to a professional of that ilk, so zoopharmacognotist, because obviously you have to make sure you're safe when you're working with animals with oils. Although dogs can process them a lot easier, like cats can't actually take essential oils in their purest form as such. They have to be diluted. So cats, especially around essential oils, everyone please do be careful. Speak to the professionals. So I have 2 people in my remit who do Zoopharmacognosy. So one is Rachel Knott from Animal Matters, and one is Dawn Stone from the Holistic Animal. So either of those, obviously, feel free to contact. Please don't just kind of go, oh, okay, I can go and use the essential oils I've got in the cupboard, because you just need to make sure that they are the right dosage, quantity, etc., and dilution for them. So ours are, sorry, get my teeth in. So as you saw in that, I felt drawn to work with Sam with Vetiver. So what was your experience of what happened when I was working with him?
It was quite surprising because I didn't expect him to be as quite as relaxed around you as he was, because it was the first time you'd met him, and he came when you called him, and he seemed to take notice of what you were saying to him, and um, and he wasn't stressed in any way, shape, or form. And yet, sort of just before we'd had the tea break, and he'd been a little bit hyper. And then when you got the oils out and you were letting him smell the oil, it glazed him. He sort of seemed to chill right down. And then he went and he laid down, and you still had the bottle open, and you could see his whiskers going, and he was sniffing and smelling even from sort of maybe 3 meters away. And he just seemed to chill right down and relax. He stopped panting. He'd stopped guzzling the water, which obviously, he was doing because people had been moving around and things like that. And he just seemed to sort of chill right down, relax, and it's almost a glazed look came over his face, and he just sort of sat there and watched what was going on around him, but without stressing about anything. And then when you were working with me, I thought perhaps he might get a bit possessive, because sometimes he does. He doesn't like other people sort of near me or touching me or things like that. And we have this between myself and my husband. He doesn't like me giving my husband a kiss or a cuddle if it doesn't include him as well. And yet, you were standing within inches of me and placing your hands over me, and he wasn't in the least bit bothered, which for him was very unusual. And I got the distinct impression that he realized quite clearly what you were about, and that you were not a threat, and that he didn't have to be on guard duty, as
Yeah.
it were.
Yeah. And they will, this is the thing, is that when you're coming in, this is why they say, watch a dog's reaction to someone, because often, as I say, they're picking up on hearts, what's being emitted from our heart, which is the electromagnetic field. So if they tell me, by their behavior, that they're not sure about someone, I'll trust it.
Yeah.
you know, because I'll be like, well, even if I can't feel it, I can see it in them. They're not sure, you know, and yeah, it was lovely to see. So obviously with the oils, you know, as they were reaching his, you know, limbic system, you know, they were actually starting to kind of calm down his nervous system. And as a lot of people witnessed in the room, you know, you could, it was as if like we would have had something that would have relaxed us, and your eyes just sort of glaze over, and you know, your eyes, you know, your blinking is perhaps a little bit slower, and you know, your movements are slower and your breathing slows because you're relaxing. So it was really lovely, as you say, to just see that. And you could see it just in terms of, he didn't even need to be near the oil. I think he was probably about 2 meters away from the oil itself, but because they have like 300 million receptors in their nose, they can smell it from a heck of a lot further than we could.
Yes.
You know, I mean, probably even if I got the vetiver out now, I would probably only have a hint of it at different points, you know, if the breeze blew in the right way.
Yes.
And so, you know, it's incredible to sort of witness just how far away they can actually receive it.
Yeah.
And he was doing what was right for him in terms of, you know, coming back up, having a sniff, going away again, processing that, you know, and he did that, I think, twice. And then it was like, right, that's all I need right now. And so yeah, it was beautiful to see. And in terms of, and normally with demonstrations where there is a doggy, I would normally work with them with, as I say, with the spiral technique. But you know, Spirit, as I say, being Spirit, was sort of guiding me, and literally it was as if like the compass sort of went, no, you need to work with Sue. And I'm like, okay, apparently today I need to work with Sue. But you know, as you said to me before, obviously that you'd had you know, sort of surgery. Obviously, we won't say what or where or anything like that. That's you know, not needed in this instance. But basically, you know, from obviously that, and actually it allowed me to share a blog the other day actually about surgery, you know, as one of those things, is that actually it is a physical trauma to the body, because you know, you've got the scalpel kind of cutting into skin, you've got, you know, people getting their hands in and moving things around or possibly removing. So the one I shared about pets was about a female dog being spayed, you know, so she's had her bits removed. And so, you know, it's just allowing people to understand that's quite a trauma to the body, you know, something physically being taken out. And so that's why I felt I was kind of drawn to work with you, just because it was like, okay, so you've had surgery and the spirals can definitely work their own sort of magic, if you like. So
That was amazing, because you know, I've had Reiki before, and sometimes it's been good and sometimes it's been bad. But with what you did, it was almost instantaneous, because as I said to you last week, I was only a week and a half out of surgery, and everything felt really tight, and I felt, you know, very protective of my tummy area and that. And when you started doing the spirals, I literally felt something go pop inside. It was the most peculiar thing, and with that, the heaviness all suddenly seemed to drain away, and it just felt so much easier. And for the rest of that day and from then on, you know, I've been gradually getting better and better, pretty quickly actually. And I've been practicing the spiral technique that you said. You know, when I felt a little bit tight somewhere, I've done the anti-spirals and the throwing away, and then I've sort of thought of positivity, and I've been doing the clockwise spirals, and it has really made a difference, because I came off the painkillers at night almost immediately, found that I didn't need them. I can now lay on either side very comfortably, you know, and yes, I do get your twinge, as you would, but, you know, nothing like I was experiencing last week. And it was from that moment, it really was, you know, quite surprising. And my daughter noticed the difference, my husband noticed the difference, and I actually was able to almost live a normal life again. You know, I'm not worrying about protecting my tummy anymore. I'm not sort of sitting there thinking, oh, mustn't have that. And yesterday, for the first time, Sam actually got back on my lap and, was quite happy to lay there, whereas he's been avoiding me for the last fortnight. Last night he was actually quite happy to get back up and have a cuddle, and he wasn't worried about sort of sitting across my lap or anything like that. And it wasn't that painful. It was uncomfortable but not painful, if you know what I mean. And I was really surprised, because 2 weeks after surgery, in any surgery I've had, has never been that comfortable.
Okay. So that's fantastic news, just to hear, your experience of this. And, in a way, I mean, certainly for the talk purposes, it's obviously slightly easier working with a human being to kind of say, right, we're going to work with the spirals, what are you experiencing? Because they can feed back. Whereas if I do that with a pet, say I'd done it with Sam, now obviously I communicate with animals, so I could have asked him, what are you experiencing? What's happening for you? I could show people, what I'm observing on his body, but ultimately it's kind of it's my experience, if that makes sense. It's me, him talking through me, so people have, that I've got myself to vouch for him and me, if that makes sense. Whereas actually, when you're working with spirals with human beings, that it's a technique that works, because, as we said, every living creature, including ourselves, have enzymes, and these basically the enzymes are the catalyst for change. They give the cells of the body physical opportunity to change, and they function in a spiral fashion. So this is why when we do the spirals, what we're actually doing is we're activating those cells to kind of get themselves going, to promote healing and well-being. Now, I probably agree. There's some instances probably when I'm doing the spirals, because I'm coming at it with an intention of love and healing, that I suspect probably my Rahani healing does kick in without me even, sort of setting myself up as I normally would for a Rahani session. But and sometimes you can feel that, because you get the tingling in your hands. I'm like, okay, so we're doing healing and the spirals. But that's the thing. And I remember sort of there was one lady in the audience that commented and said, oh, you can see that you've got a glow coming back to you. And this is the thing with like all of these like energy and modalities, not just spirals, not just, the Rahani healing, as you mentioned earlier, there's Reiki, there's, other types of Reiki, other types of healing. And the thing is each of them, can bring benefit to our body and our well-being. And it just shows that actually just by using a technique such as that, you can affect such a change within you. And I know you can verify, I didn't touch your body, because obviously the same as on a pet, if they'd had, say, a cruciate issue or any type of surgery, I wouldn't ever put my hand on it in case I disturbed something, but you can work off the body. So I always refer people to like ready breath. In a way, it's a bit like having that ready breath glow around you. We've got an energy field around us. So when we're working with spirals off the body, then we are still working in the energy field. So in a sense, I think that little pop, as you say, was as you say, that tightness just kind of letting go in a way. And the thing is sometimes, when that kind of happens, then as you say, it's like suddenly it's as if the body's going like, okay, I'm going to let go of that. And now I can start healing. Now I can start, creating change. And so this is, just the wonder, really. And it's just so lovely to, obviously I was with you, so I remember you sort of feeding back and saying, oh, I'm feeling warmth there, and I'm feeling some tingling, and, but obviously to then even hear just what's happened since for you, in you actually working with that yourself. And, I've, we were only ever taught, to use it with pets, but as things happen, I had a friend around me at the time who had sprained her ankle, and she came home and I worked with her on that, and she could feel warmth. So it was a similar thing. She could feel warmth, and it actually got better, because again, to me, it's anything like that is still a trauma, so we're actually helping the cells to hopefully release the trauma, whatever is for that person's highest good, so that it can promote healing and well-being. So it was it was beautiful to work with you. So thank you for allowing me to, and feeding
I
back your
should see
experience.
Sam at the moment, actually, because he's laid alongside me,
Yeah,
but he's actually watching you on the computer. And his ears are up and he's listening to everything that you're saying, but
yeah.
he's so chilled. He's just laying here on his side, but watching you, aren't you? Hey, soppy old dog, aren't you, eh?
He was such a good candidate, as I say. He was such a good boy for doing what he did. And again, the one thing that I don't always do it out loud, but when I was there, I said to him, I'm going to hopefully work with you today. Is that okay? Is that all right with you? And I got a yes back from him, and if he'd said no, I would have probably checked back in with him later on and
Yeah,
said, has that changed at all? If he still said no, then I would have said, right, he doesn't want me to work with him with the oils today, and I respect that and I trust that with him. Um, but he was fine, and I've not had an animal refuse, but you never know, for whatever reason they might say,
no,
actually no, not today. I've had a doggy actually, that when I was doing spirals with him, and I'd done them with him plenty of times before, and he knew me very well. I did it over the top of his neck and he growled at me. And I was like, that's really interesting. And I remember his mum saying, oh, no, that's not a growl. That's him kind of going, like he's enjoying it. And I was like, no, I got the feeling that that was a bit of a warning. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to like do it under his chin and see if that's better. And he didn't. He gave me a longer growl. And I said to him, okay, I'm going to stop, because to me, that's a growl. I think I'd asked him, or I did it one more, and I said to him, if you do not want me doing this, and this isn't you enjoying this, then I want you to give me a longer growl and I will absolutely stop. And he did. And I was like, no, I respect that. He's told me that he's done exactly what I asked him to do. And I remember saying to his owner, has he done something? Because he's not let me do spirals above his neck or below his chin. Like, to me, there's something going on in that area. And she said to me, well, he did clothesline the lead this morning. And I said, right, okay. I said, as you're going to the vets in the afternoon, can you get them to just check that? I said, because he is saying to me, I feel vulnerable in that area. I don't want spirals, even off the body, which is what we were doing. And she did report back to me later and said, yes, they have said that he's just got like a little bit of whiplash from
yeah,
obviously sort of that jolt. So again, everything he was doing was to feel safe. It didn't feel safe in my hands, even just being in his energy field at that space. He was fine everywhere else, just not there. So again, he was telling me. And yeah, absolutely, Sam, as I say, is just so, was so clued up with yourself. In terms of, as I say, even of just talking later, as well. But I did say to him, you can trust me, you can trust my energy.
yeah,
And again, it's just sort of, I often will say that to them when they don't know me, because it's sort of a way of saying to them, feel into me,
yeah. Yeah,
because you'll
and
feel whether
he
it's,
did like you. He really did like you. And we've also been, you said about putting the hand on his chest, on his heart area, and
yeah,
we've been doing that, on a regular basis, and making sure, we have that contact. Oh, he's gone down again.
yeah,
Have that regular contact, with his chest and things like that with him. And we did spirals over his back legs, where you felt there was a slight weakness with him, and he's been very chilled about having it done, not in the least bit bothered. And as I say, if you're prepared to put that effort in with him, he just seems to return it all tenfold. He's one of those dogs, I think, because of the way he came to us. He was thrown out of a speeding car in Ireland. He had a broken tail, he had a broken leg, and he was in very, very sad state of affairs. And the vet reckoned he was only between 3 and 6 months old. And we took him in initially to foster him, and of course, he just made us his home, and he's just been the perfect dog ever since. He has been so easy to train. I feel he communicates, he will talk, he will guard. I have no fear that he's going to do anything. He's not so keen on bigger dogs, dogs that are bigger than he is, or larger, broader sort of dogs than he is. He likes smaller dogs to play with, but sometimes he does forget that he's a bit bigger than they are. But he's never malicious. He's never naturally aggressive. When we first had him, he used to have that herding instinct. He'd want to herd the children, and if they didn't move fast enough, he'd give them a slight nip. He wouldn't bite them and break the skin or anything like that, but it was enough to, let them know that they needed to move, and he'd round them up and bring them back to us. But we broke him of that habit as well, and we told him it wasn't acceptable, and he stopped doing it. And now he just wants to be everywhere with you. He just wants to go everywhere, do everything. And as I say, I mean, normally if I was on a Zoom meeting, he'd clear off somewhere, but actually he's come and laid here, and he feels almost like he's part of it. So he obviously recognizes you, and he obviously is intently interested in what we're talking about, because otherwise he wouldn't be here. So
well, it can even be, if you've been visualizing it or thinking about it, he's going to pick up on those thoughts. As you say, it may be that he's feeling my energy. He's like, oh, I felt that last week, so again, he's feeling it and he likes it, and he wants to be in that space with both you and me. So there could be, lots of factors that are involved. And I'm sure, to be honest, if I, like when I was working with you with the spas, if I'd said to you, okay, could I work with you, and you had felt pressured, if you like, to do that, and kind of gone, okay, all right, and had felt really unsure or nervous or even a bit worried, he would have been there like a shot. Because he would have picked up on that, and he would have basically probably either stood in front of me as if to say no, and in which case I would have said, okay, I would have then checked in with you and said, right, are you not feeling happy about this? Because he stood in front of you, he's being a barrier between you and me. And then, you would have sort of then potentially sort of shared and said, actually, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. So that's the thing as well, is again, even though he was sitting, well, probably more than 3 meters away at that point, between us and him, he would have felt your energy easily if there'd been a change in that, to the point that you felt uneasy or unsure. And that is what that group bond is about. And anyone that's listening, definitely look up Rupert Sheldrake. He talks a lot about the group bond, and actually he does a wonderful experiment with one of his colleagues, a lady who has a collie. Actually, I think it's a collie, might not be, but it's a doggy called JT anyway, JAYTEE, and they do experiments around dogs knowing when their owners are coming home, because he wanted to demonstrate really this group bond, that actually it's not that you're coming home at the same time or in the same way, or that it actually happens no matter what you change, to make it so that it's not familiar, it's not routine. So he shares a lot about the group bond, and Sam, as I say, had a really good strong bond with yourself and your daughter, actually. But you could definitely see that with the way he was responding to you talking to him. But yeah, he was an absolute blessing to work with, so I have no problem that he's here. It's lovely to see him again, and just to say thank you to him for working with us. So yeah, and I just want to say thank you to both of you. He's like, right, we're done now. But I just want to say, thank you to both of you for kind of coming on today and sharing that experience with
he's
us.
definitely been very chilled this last week, which has been really nice. He's not felt so stressed, and we've had a lot of tail wagging. I mean, he, not that he's not a happy dog anyway, but even when he's just sitting relaxing, the tail is wagging constantly now, which didn't necessarily happen before. He would be quite happy and he'd be chilled, but the tail wasn't wagging constantly. But since last week, the tail has wagged an awful lot more. So whether that's something, that's my boob, thank you. Whether that's something, that has been part of it, I don't know. But he just seems very contented the last week or so. So that's obviously a positive thing.
And also, again, I mean, two things I would say from that. So, number one, it also probably relates to you and how you're feeling, because if you're feeling more relaxed and contented and sort of not feeling quite as sort of alert, if you like, or sensitive with regards to your surgery, because often when we've had something like that, we feel quite vulnerable, don't we? Like, oh, I mustn't bang into anything, I mustn't do this, I mustn't, it's like if you've been feeling that healing and you're sort of calming down in that sense as well, like he's going to feel that. And the other thing that I just wanted to mention is even when we work with the spiral technique with people, I always give them the option to leave, if you like. So it's their choice if they want to stay for it, and continue having it. And they'll normally tell you, normally when I'm working with spirals, they'll just get up and they'll move away, and I'll be like, that's fine, they're done. They've had enough of that. They might come back for more, but it's like for the minute they just want to process those changes and they want to sit with that. And again, it's about us, in a sense, respecting that and really starting to observe our pets, because they can tell us so much in that regard, as you say, of just showing us, right, okay, yeah, I need to step away for a minute, just like he did with the oil. If I wasn't observant and I suppose got the knowledge of that, I could have easily kind of gone back up to him with the oil and like, come here, sniff it, come on, do this, but because of, as I say, our training and obviously knowing how they process it and what they're likely to do, then you sit and you go, okay, yeah, you sit at the distance that feels right to you. And I've seen that with other dogs around me where it's, as a human, we think, oh, they have to be right close to it in order to receive it. And actually they've all shown me that no, they could be like meters away and they're still receiving it to the, I suppose, the dilution or the intensity, dosage, whatever word you want to use, that is right for them at that particular moment in time. And I think that's what does make the difference. So thank you so much for joining us, both of you.
Thank you for having us. Come on, off the computer, because you're going to knock her off the screen. Yeah, sit that way. If you want to sit there. There you go. Look, that's better. There you are.
So yeah, oh bless him. But
yeah,
we
have taken on board a lot of what you said. We are trying to gauge his reactions more, watching more what he does, and trying to let him lead as opposed to us leading. And well, yeah, it seems to be working, doesn't it, Mr.? It's gone all puppyfied.
Yeah.
It seems to be working. We are noticing little things now, which he does, which are signals to us that we might not have noticed before. And I felt that last week's meeting was really valuable. It certainly made me understand dog behavior better. And yeah, I've been a dog owner for 20 plus years, but I certainly felt I learned quite a lot last week that I didn't necessarily know before. And it certainly made the interaction between myself and Sam, my daughter and Sam, my husband and Sam, we're much more observant of him now. We take more notice of what he's doing and then trying to work out the why he's doing, rather than just ignoring it or telling him, that he shouldn't be doing something. We're looking to see what signal he's trying to give. So yeah, we did learn a lot, my daughter and I, last week, and for that we thank you. It was a really interesting experience.
Oh, you're very welcome. And as you said earlier about the herding, that is, this is the thing with the working breeds is, it is something that happens quite a lot with collie dogs, is they will try and herd because that's within their makeup, it's within their genetic makeup. And as you say, often like, if I can't herd sheep, then I'm going to herd the family. And, as you say, it's all about looking at, okay, so we need to stop them doing that, because that's, I suppose, what I would call like the displacement behavior. I can't do it in the normal way I would do it, so I'm going to do it with the family, because in the sense they're my sheep in this instance. But actually then going, right, so we stop them from doing that, but how else can we meet that need within them? And there's various different ways that you can do that with working breeds, playing particular games and things where they're using kind of the herding instinct and stuff. So just even on that point, really, that actually, they're beautiful dogs to have. But I think always it's, as you say, it is about people looking at what would the needs of that dog be, you know, what's involved, because, you know, collies normally do need like a lot of walking. You know, they're definitely, you know, well, certainly in my experience, they often need a lot of exercise, need a lot of walking. They're normally, you know, quite, then often need mental stimulation because they're just so clever a lot of the time, so intelligent. So as you say, it is all about looking at that, and rather than, you know, rather than people saying, oh, they're being naughty, they're being spiteful, they're being this, that, the other, whatever label, you know, you want to use, is looking at, okay, but they're not, why are they doing it? Because it's not none of the stuff that we're trying to put onto them, you know. So
no, and that's what I hadn't necessarily realized before, and now I'm beginning to think to myself, well, why is he doing that? He's doing that for some particular reason, and it's not what I'm thinking it is, you know. So I'm trying to really be more observant about what he does and how he does it, and, you know, whether it's a repetitive thing or whether it's a one-off thing, in what context have I seen him doing it, you know, and just trying to think a lot more about things from his point of view rather than just my point of view as being the dog owner, you know. And that has made a big difference, and you know, and I think it's going to bring us even closer than what we are. I mean, you know, we are very close, as you know, but I think that you know, it will make a big difference. And certainly I notice now that you know, he wants to spend more time with us as people, as opposed to spending time with other dogs and things like that. He seems to appreciate the fact that you know, that we're taking that interest, and, you know, he's I know it sounds silly, people will laugh if they're not dog owners, but he is trying to have those conversations. And if you don't get it, he sort of looks at you as if to say, come on, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. And he'll, you know, do the barking. And then I say to him, okay, you're going to have to show me. And then he'll go and show whatever it is he wants. So when we came back last week, he was showing us he wanted his toy box out, you know, and he wanted to get all the balls out of the toy box because he does love a ball. And or you know, I'll say to him, I don't understand what you want. And then he'll take me somewhere and he'll show me something, and it might be that Teddy's fallen out of the bed and it's down the back of the bed and he can't reach it, so he wants me to get it. But silly things that I hadn't necessarily thought of before, you know, and I'd just say, oh, you know, do you want to go out or something? And he you know, and he'd look at me as if to go, oh, all right then, you know. But now I'm sort of thinking, well, there's more to this. So I'm doing, as you said, saying, show me. And I'm finding that is having a response. That is definitely having a response. So yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. Brilliant. So thank you so much, as I say, for both of you coming online today, and just talking about your experience, you know, not just a talk, but, you know, as I say, how it's impacted you, obviously, since how it's impacted him, and just moving forwards. Because I think, you know, both myself and lots of other people out there who are kind of working with this more holistic approach, you know, with pets and with people, it is all about kind of deepening the connection, you know, with pets and their owners especially. It's about deepening the connection and the understanding, you know, of why might they be doing that, what's going on for them, you know, what needs do they have, you know. But likewise, very similarly with, you know, with human beings as well, you know, we don't often consider our own needs. Some people don't even know they've got their own needs, you know. So again, it can help us, you know, look at that of like, right, so if I'm looking at what he needs, what do I need today?
Yeah.
You know, because you might find that actually that what you need is similar to what he's then showing you. The same as I had when I had two foster cats, and I came back from a friend's, and I don't normally have caffeine, and I'd had just a cup of tea and came in and I felt okay, you know, I was feeling fine, and they were just going nuts. They were just chasing each other like, I'm going to get you, not if I get you first, and, you know, running all up and over and in boxes. And I was like, whoa, what is going on with you guys? And I was just like, right, okay, check in. And because I'd had caffeine, my energy was like, you know, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's me, it's me, they're feeling it, and they're just showing it. So I had to take responsibility for that, and then go out, and I think I went to the gym or went for a walk or whatever to just try and displace some of that energy. Because I was just like, oh, I can see that they're reflecting that. So yeah, it does happen. So I'm going to leave it there. Otherwise, we could probably talk for probably
Yeah,
a long while actually about this. But as I say, thank you both for joining us, sharing your experience.
thank you for having us.
And just before we leave, I wondered, because I know obviously, as I say, you are part of the WI, whether you wanted to just say, talk for sort of a few minutes about what the WI is, for people that might not know,
All right,
in case they want
okay.
to join.
Well, the WI is for ladies of 18 and above. And so long as they identify as a lady, be they of um, male persuasion that wishes to transgender or whatever, so long as they identify as a lady, they're welcome to go to any WI. What we are all about is about empowering and educating women, and we do that through friendship, through learning, and goals that are similar to each other's, in as much as that we're looking for that connection of friendship and care and solidarity as women. The WI has been going since 1915 in this country. It originally came to this country from Canada, and basically everybody who joins because they want to learn new skills, they want to educate themselves better, and the WI tries to help and promote that. And we welcome any denomination, any colour, any creed. It doesn't matter, everybody is welcome. And and we try to encourage and promote harmony amongst women, and care and love and understanding.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I just thought it'd be nice, as I say, to just share that, because there might be people out there going, well, hang on, what is this? What do they do? And might want to find out more about it. So I thought, yeah, I'll ask you to share that. And yeah, then if people want to get in touch, is there a sort of a generic website?
There is. People can go online to www.thenfwi, or one word, the nfwi.org.uk, and that takes them to the main web page. And then there is a sub web page on there where they can find out where their nearest meeting is, what day of the month it is, and what time and where. And you're more than welcome to go along for your first session, free of charge. You get a cup of tea and a biscuit or a slice of cake, or sometimes some of them even do buffets in the evening if they're an evening WI, and people have been getting off the train from work or something, so some of them actually do buffets. And you get 2 hours of fun and friendship, and interesting talks, new experiences. There are so many different things that we are into. We're not all just Jam and Jerusalem anymore. We do computer skills, we do book clubs, we have afternoon teas, we do lunch clubs, we have gardening clubs, you name it, we try to do it these days. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been lovely. I mean, certainly I've spoken at a few WIs, and as you say, yeah, things have definitely come away from sort of the stereotypical sort of perspective, if you like, of WI, Women's Institute. So yeah, I've always felt very welcomed where I've been, with the talks that I do. And yeah, there's always been normally there's always been cake, like someone's baked a cake, and
Yeah.
most of the time, to be fair, I've had to kind of go, I can't, no, it's sugar, and it's evening and I won't sleep, but I'm like, it
And of
looks
course, in the job
delicious.
that you're doing and coming out to talk to groups like us, you will know that there are no two WIs that are the same. So even if you go along to one and you don't like it, try a second one somewhere else, because you might find that one fits better, because they're all different, and every single one, offers something different. So don't ever just think to yourself, oh, well, my local one's not much good. Go and try a second one, because they are all different. There are no two the same.
Yeah, it's like any group you go to, isn't it? You know, there'll be some groups you resonate with and some that you kind of go, that's just, it doesn't feel like it's quite right for me, you know. So yeah, absolutely, yeah, I'd encourage that. So yeah, thank you for that. I'm gonna just sort of stop the recording now, but thank you for joining us, and Sam, because I know he'll still be around.
He's still here.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, he's still here, chilled out. Thank you for having us, Victoria, and I hope it's been helpful to you. And you know, if there's any time we can give you a hand in the future, don't hesitate to ask.
Lovely. Thank you.
All right, love. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.